So I may as well start with the introductions at least. Today's session is going to look at the AML REQ solution that CalcRisk has been developing to help you with your requirements. Today, on today's session, I'll do the introductory slides for a moment or two, and then Chris Hanlon, our CEO, who I'm sure you're very familiar with from various presentations and engagements over the years, will be on hand, and he'll expertly demonstrate the softer elements of it. As you all know, I'm better at talking about things than demoing things. So between the two of us, we will communicate hopefully all the relevant pieces that you need to know to help you on this particular journey. So as you know, CalcRisk, you're all CalcRisk customers, I think, online today. You're very familiar with what we do, so I don't need to go through the introductory pieces, but really just to let you know that we're the point really is that we're trying to help our customers to meet your requirements as you go along on a continuous basis. So the one that we're most concerned with, obviously, today is this new requirement around, well, the risk evaluation questionnaire piece isn't a new requirement, but this new requirement around formatting that's proving to be challenging for credit unions. Just to give the broad outline for those who might not be involved in this on a transactional basis, on a day-to-day basis, the risk evaluation questionnaire submission date is the 18th of September this year. The plan is for over the summer, Central Bank have made the portal and the submission functionality available to all users so that you can be in a position to officially have it submitted and approved and validated by that time. As you know, you probably know the testing facilities are available from Central Bank from the end of June onwards. So hopefully all will be in a good position to complete it on time. It is an ongoing annual requirement. It's not just a one and done. And as you know, we've had various iterations of it prior to this, but going forward, the submission dates themselves are likely to be changing. I think you've already been notified that there will be a change to the date in 2027. You are also aware, obviously, that the data requirements over the years have changed. So while it's an annual requirement, it's not fixed. The data that you're gathering, as you're all more aware probably than me, originates from a wide variety of sources, which makes it challenging to collate the data for yourselves. And what we're trying to do is allow you the opportunity to have the single entry point, and we'll mention that in a moment. What we also are very aware of is that each credit union is likely to have a slightly different requirement in terms of which data items apply to you, and it comes down a lot, I suppose, to the credit union's own business model and the risks that it faces in its day-to-day activities in this particular area of anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism, and financial sanctions. So there is no one set of, I suppose, instructions from our end, certainly, that will tell you you have to have this item or you have to have that item or you don't need this item. That's entirely at the credit union's own I suppose, responsibility to ensure that you are completing the required fields as they apply to you and your current business model. So as you know, what we've tried to do is build the system so it'll accommodate all possible variations, but allow you the flexibility then to apply it as it fits your own model. As you know, the problem that we're trying to help you all with is this mandatory formatting requirement. The previous versions, the Excel spreadsheet, I would have been familiar with uploading myself back in the day when I was doing this on a day-to-day basis, is the original formatting, which was uploadable, was a lot more straightforward for credit unions in terms of their own functionality and availability of IT tech and support within the business. This requirement to convert it to XML has made it a lot more challenging for a lot of credit unions. So what we're trying to do, again, as I say, is to facilitate you in meeting that requirement. The submission itself will be via the Central Bank portal, as you're aware, and there are a lot of data validations in there to make sure that the data that Central Bank absorbs or consolidates is all in the same format. and required, meets their requirements for analysis and so on going forward. So this is kind of the driver behind it. What we've tried to do, and I suppose the important thing to note from the beginning, is that the data will be input directly into your data, if you choose to use this facility, into your Calculus data collection screens. It will not be through the Excel spreadsheet that comes from central bank, because it basically kind of bypasses the need to populate that particular spreadsheet. You might use it, have been using it all along to gather the data to make sure you have that data, but going forward, you can input the data directly into Calculus. It's a single entry only, so you won't have to populate the Excel spreadsheet and then repopulate that information into Calculus. The Calculus reports that are being built into it that Chris will show you will allow you to identify any missing data items as you go along, because this is kind of a long process to gather all the pieces. And it will also help you with the data validation issues to make sure that you're in your best position to import the data into the central bank portal and comply with the rules as it applies to that data import. So once all the data is in Calculus, there's a quick click button process to generate the XML file. It's not complicated. You'll see it demoed by Chris in a moment. And then the thing to remember, I suppose, really, and it's the reason why we kind of tried to do it this way, is that with the anti-money laundering authorities' activities ramping up quite significantly from now on, their reporting requirements, or at least it's their requirements that are driving the data that central bank is looking for. And so therefore that's likely to be updated going forward as AMLA begins to issue guidance and regulations and so on to its relevant parties, including the central bank and across all industries. So it's important that for you, we want to be in a position to make sure that the data collection will be updated and amended for you based on the changing requirements that are likely to be there going forward. So Calculus will be responsible for maintaining and updating the data collection screens going forward to comply with any changes from AMLA or central bank as we move forward. So that's the kind of the general gist of where we were coming from, having basically responded to a number of queries from individual credit unions around, whether the help would be available from ourselves. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Chris, who will share his screens, and he's going to demonstrate the Calculus functionality for you. And we're happy to take questions afterwards, if that's okay.
Great, thanks, Andy. You might just confirm that you can see my screen okay, can you? Maybe I think you might need to
I
stop
can't.
sharing.
I stopped share, and then, right, if you want to share now.
Perfect, just give me 2 seconds, sorry. It's never a webinar without there's technical difficulties.
Yes, I can see it now.
Excellent. So yeah, as Sandy alluded to, the central bank's return, or soon to be the AMLA return for the risk valuation questionnaire, it looks like a straightforward spreadsheet, but really where people are being caught out with is the XML validation or the XML report that needs to be generated. So there are a subsection of CBI regulated firms who have already gone through the process. So we know the portal is working and the data validation is working and things like that. So I think crypto firms might be next, and then maybe payment companies and banks and credit unions and stuff like that then follow afterwards. So, but I just wanted to, for those of you who maybe haven't dug into the return just yet, I just wanted to almost start with the spreadsheet or the workbook the central bank has sent around or made available to download. So, what looks like simple kind of yes, no, drop downs, number fields, tables, and things like that. Unfortunately, when you do populate the spreadsheet, you actually can't just submit the spreadsheet. So Sandy alluded to, it has to follow the data validation rules in the bank. So anyone who's looking forward to the DORA submission in 2028, you're going to have similar headaches around data validation and codes and translation and stuff like that and formatting. So as you step through it, you can obviously fill in the spreadsheet. You're going to end up running into issues, as I said to you, with the different things you can choose from around the tables, numbers. Does it accept commas if it's looking for thousands or tens of thousands and things like that? So we had this headache basically a couple of weeks or months ago as people started approaching us, as Sandy mentioned. So what we ended up doing in CalculaRisk is basically replicating the form within the workbook basically within the system itself. So for those of you already familiar with CalculaRisk, you have your list of modules on the left-hand side. You'll notice down here I have this reports tab. I can click on reports and open up regulatory. The reason why we've created regulatory is that we do see that shift towards this sort of reporting from not just the central bank, but most European regulators as they start reporting up into European regulators of XML or XBRL. It seems to now be the norm, if that makes sense, when it comes to reporting. So it's likely we'll continue to pad this out over the coming months and years, basically. Again, for those of you not familiar with calculus, collapse it out of the way, turn on dark mode if you kind of prefer looking at the screen that way or whatever it might be. But over here, you'll see I have my quick wizard, which basically just guides me through the REQ. So unfortunately for my dummy credit union I have set up here, I'm only 10% done through the REQ. So you can see I have a fair chunk done in general, but when I actually scroll down here into inherent risk, I only have 2 of the 107 required data points actually captured. You can literally scroll down through the system or through the form like this, and you're able to capture everything. So you'll see here I have the natural persons. I can pop in a number. Very hard for me to demo this, but you actually can't type a letter in that field. So hopefully you can hear me banging my keyboard furiously. That's basically the data validation coming into CalculaRisk. You can't enter a digit, a comma, or something like that if it's not expected, or a letter if it's not expected in that field. You'll notice out here then as well, we've taken in the mapping from the central bank. We've also said what the field expects, and we've even built it in, as I said, that you can't. So in this case, it's an integer or a number that it's expecting. I can't type in ABC there, for example. Otherwise, it'll fail the data validation. So we actually don't even allow you to type in the number as well. So a couple of other fields to point out then as well. If I scroll down all the way down to my business-wide risk assessment, you'll see it's a mix of drop downs, date pickers, actually policies and procedures is even better for the different, when did you last review all your AML or CTF related policies? You need all your dates, and they're just simple kind of date pickers that you can basically hit the icon, open up and say, was it May 2026 when you last reviewed it, or when was it? You can scroll back through the calendar and actually choose it all as well. So then if you actually scroll down even further, as I mentioned, you'll start to see where some of the number fields come in and where we've replicated those tables as well. So if I scroll down to the PEP piece, the politically exposed persons, I just popped in some dummy data this morning. Again, simple things you might get caught out with from using the spreadsheet to translate to XML is that you can't say Ireland, for example. You have to use the European country codes, or sorry, the internationally accepted country codes. So Ireland is IE. We have 4 PEPs in my dummy credit union. And again, we can see you need to basically fill out those tables for each under each of the different headings for that tab as well. So a couple of other bits and pieces to point out before we actually just generate the XML and probably show how straightforward it is. It is a meaty piece of work. Like in this dummy one, we have 560 data points that are required. Sandy has already pointed out, depending on your own product mix or your own business model in the credit union, some of the data points might not be applicable, but nonetheless, it's still a big piece of work. So within the system, you can have multiple people access the form as well. So it's not that Sandy emails me the bunch of dates for the policies or procedures of when we last reviewed stuff. Sandy can jump in and just pop in that data as well. I can jump in and pop in data around transactions or loan volumes if they're coming from different systems or whatever it might be. So you can make it a multiple person exercise if you want to. And then really, as I said to you, then the piece where we wanted to kind of just really simplify the whole process. So that's obviously us replicating the workbook. But to simplify the whole process, you'll notice up here I have this download XML button. If I click on that, up here, click this, and basically this is really what the central bank is looking for. So the system has generated this automatically based on my answers to the questions. So on the assumption I've populated every field correctly, you'll notice then if we go back to that spreadsheet, for example, the central bank had, you'll see all these codes, JSA, JSOR, JSC, and things like that. You'll be able to map them back to your XML return. And then you can also see then that it was expecting an integer value. And in our return in CalculaRisk, we actually had 30,000. You can see it has my name, job title, yes, no drop downs. So we basically build all of the XML in the background, and it is literally that quick. So you answer this, hit download XML, pops the XML file into your downloads folder on your laptop or computer, and then it's available then for submission to the central bank. So it is that, I won't say straightforward because I know it's a bit of a legwork to actually get there with the data points, but unfortunately, we can't do much about the volume of data required, but certainly from the technical perspective of us being able to make the file, it's that straightforward. So, Sandy, I'm not sure, was there anything I skipped over too quick or anything that I didn't cover? Or as Sandy mentioned as well, if anyone does have any questions, do feel free to pop them in the chat box or in the Q&A box as well. I think there might be some stuff actually already coming in, is there?
Yeah, I think you covered everything that I could see. Now I've had one or two questions here. Now I'm for some reason I can see the chat box at the moment, but I can't see the Q&A. There's a hand up there in the chat box from Lisa Quinlan. Shall I just allow her to talk and she can ask her question? Just one second. Go ahead, Lisa. Not sure. Ask to unmute.
It's
No,
always a Zoom.
I know. I think I've given permission, so hopefully Lisa
Yeah, no
can
problem.
ask the question. If we're not hearing you for some reason, Lisa, do you want to just put the question? Oh, sorry, is there something there?
Oh, I see a question actually after popping in there now.
Yeah,
So
maybe it's
has
not visible on the, maybe
Yeah,
Lisa's.
no problem. Yeah, there was yeah, sorry, the Q&A box, and well, certainly on Sandy
Mm,
and iScreen, it seems to be in a different section, so maybe Zoom has moved it around or
mm.
something like that. But do feel free to pop any questions either in the chat box or in the Q&A box. It used to be down the bottom toolbar in Zoom, but it looks like it's behind a couple of dots now or something like that. So has the XML been tested by the CBI test portal? Yeah, basically we had a bunch of firms that most of us know for us from our work that we do with credit unions, but we also have a bunch of clients who are CBI regulated or regulated by other European regulators outside the credit union space. So some of our clients have actually already gone through the REQ process. So investment firms, I think it was, or MiFID firms were due by June 30th. Sorry, I think their deadline was last week. I think the next one is crypto asset service providers, CASPs. I know credit unions are the 18th of September, and I think life insurers are maybe September as well. So the returns are slightly different, but the CBI is accepting the XML basically into the portal as well. So I know from our own experience of going through the DORA submissions that often the portal will kind of accept it, and you might end up getting feedback from like your supervisor in 4 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time, but that's usually because they don't agree with something in the data point as opposed to the return itself, if that makes sense. So um, I'm after clicking out of the Q&A now. Sorry, Sandy.
Yeah, no, that's okay. The second question, just a comment and question. It looks brilliant, Chris. Has the bank approved this?
Yeah, so similar enough. So the bank won't, unfortunately, the central bank won't approve anything to do with kind of suppliers. But we did meet the central bank innovation program or innovation lead probably a couple of months ago about our own experience helping firms through the DORA process as well. It's kind of talk about if we can directly integrate with the CBI return portal. So yeah, they won't approve it, but active kind of dialogue there about how do we even make it slicker such that you can press a button to say push to CBI. Whether we ever get there or not is a different thing, but yeah, it certainly works from a CBI perspective anyway.
Another question was, how do we go about signing up?
Yeah, basically, if you're already an existing Calculus user, it'll be available later today or first thing tomorrow morning if it's not already there, basically. So for credit unions, it was made live last night. I said the template is slightly different to some of the other templates that the central bank has published. You'll be delighted to know, I think one of the templates has 1,000 data points. I think when I say credit unions are only 500 data points, but one of them has, I think it's 1,100 or just shy of 1,200 data points to capture. So yeah, if you're already a Calculus user, we'll send out a quick release note, followed by more detailed release notes, and we'll probably do some training webinars and stuff like that as well. But literally, open up your menu, scroll down here into reports, come down here and click on regulatory. Your screen will look something like this. Just choose your template here that says credit union, give it a quick name, create your draft, and you'll basically have your REQ in the system. But I'll make sure we send out an email anyway for those of you who are already using CalcuRisk, such that you can just put it into your system with those instructions as well.
Okay. Denise has a question. Hi, Sandy. Just wondering how long you think it would take to complete the form if we had all the information to hand. Oh my goodness, I'm afraid I'm not able to tell you the answer to that. As we alluded to earlier, a lot will depend on the complexity of your own business. Your business-wide risk assessment is probably more complex the more complex your business model is. So therefore, the data items that you're being expected to respond to will vary depending on the complexity of your business model and the products and services that you are offering and the AML implications of that. So unfortunately, I have absolutely no guess. I couldn't even attempt to guess at how long it's going to take because I think part of the problem is also that Chris said was that it's going to be coming from multiple sources. Some of it's readily available, documentation that you'll be able to populate quite quickly, and others you're going to have to seek internally, even multiple people internally. And as Chris said, you can just ask them to populate it directly, which will save some time rather than you collating the information and being responsible for updating it all individually. So there are ways you can make it a little bit easier on yourself, but unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to give you even a guesstimate of how long it might take. Um, Another question they're just wondering when this is available to use on the Calculus platform. Looks really well and straightforward to use. So I think Chris has already answered that question. Should be up there today, later today, if and you'll get some guidance on that too.
Yeah.
And next question is, if using the multiple party access function, is there an audit trail available to show who has entered what data?
The short answer is coming soon. So we were eager to get the return template out. And what we'll end up doing is if I just show you what it's going to end up looking like, I think is probably the best way of doing it. So if I just kind of jump into a separate module in CalculaRisk, and hopefully I have an example set up. I'll just jump into something about AML. You'll notice this clock icon now, and this will be covered in the release notes for those of you who are CalculaRisk users. Of course, there's no change history. Just let me change something here. You'll notice that I can now start to see what was changed when it was changed. So this little clock symbol will start appearing on each of the modules in CalculaRisk. So you were so eager just to get version 1 of this report out because we know a couple of credit unions have already started on the Excel spreadsheet. We probably didn't want to get you going too far if you're going to migrate back into CalculaRisk. So eventually you'll have that little clock symbol. You'll be able to go in and see Sandy changed this field on this date and this time and that sort of stuff. So you'll have a full audit trail there eventually, and I'll try and come back to everyone with a date on that as well for those of you who are already using CalculaRisk.
Okay. For the fields that are not relevant, will those fields be auto-populated with the format expected by the bank?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. So we'll all if the field accepts blank, it'll be returned as blank. If not, we'll put in null or not applicable or whatever it actually is on the form as well. So the returns are very, very finicky in terms of whether you can put in whether the expectation is you put in zero, null, or NA. And much like again, for those of you who are going to do the door return soon as well, you'll probably feel the pain of that as well eventually. So yes is the short answer there.
Is there any extra cost if you're a current CalculaRisk user?
No, if you're a current Calculus user, no, not at all. You'll just see it there basically. So it's part of our usual updates. And Sandy already mentioned as well that if the return template gets changed for next year when it does go to the Anti-Money Laundering Authority or AMLA, we'll change with the goalposts basically. So as the regulators move and change the templates, we'll make sure that the system is kept up to date, and you'll just receive the typical email from our help desk, and yeah, you'll be able to just access it straight away.
Next question is, how do we access if not signed up to CalculaRisk?
Um, Probably just reach out directly through the website, or I can pop my email address in the chat here, maybe. And if anyone wants to, if you're not already using Calculus, we'll just take you through a quick demo and things like that, and show you some of the features and that sort of stuff that are in the system. Basically, I think is the short answer.
Next question is, hi Sandy, can you delegate parts of it to others with automatic reminder emails, etc.?
Not right now. Again, is the short answer. So we do. I don't know if it'll be done in time for the September one. But because the returns and regulatory reporting is just gone so big, we do want to be able to assign blocks of the returns, if that makes sense. So almost I could assign 8.3.1 to Sandy, and I could assign 8.3.2 to someone else, for example. And then they'll get you, I can set a due date and an email reminder and things like that. But I'll certainly make sure we add that to the roadmap. I know it was part of our kind of specking discussion internally, but it was more just our eagerness to get it out there so people could get working on it. But again, I'll try and come back to anyone who uses CalculaRisk. I'll try and come back to everyone to be as kind of open and transparent as possible what we can squeeze in between now and September 18th.
Cool. There was another question about is there an additional fee for existing CalculaRisk users, and you've answered that. Um, Next question. If you're able to start populating the fields and didn't complete it in one sitting, can you save what you've completed and come back to it the next day? Is that an option? Actually, Chris, I don't
Absolutely.
think you showed the reports on the bits that are missing.
Oh, in terms of the percentage over here, is it?
No, isn't there a report that you can see what's populated versus what's not?
Oh, yes, actually, sorry. Yeah, I actually
Hmm.
don't know if I had that in my dummy account. But yes, there is a report
Okay.
that'll show you kind of progress against the total, or you can have a look over here at this. I think we're calling this the wizard, where
Yeah.
you can guide yourself around. But yeah, yeah, if
To be
there's
fair,
no
that's
expectation.
probably yeah, that's a better version of the that's an instant version of the report I was thinking of. So that's
Yeah,
probably
no
better,
worries at
a
all.
better solution than what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Uh,
no worries at all.
cool.
And there's no expectation to do it all in one sitting either. Like it is a lot of data to try and capture. So your return will always be here. Just ignore that life insurance one. I'm just in my dummy system, but your return is always here. You can come in here and just click on edit, and it will already have the fact that I said yes to this. I've one branch. I'm the one who's authorizing the report. I've started that sort of stuff. So it's much like working in an Excel workbook. You can have it saved on the system then as well, and keep chipping away at it between now and September.
Cool. Next question is from Julia. Hi, Chris. I was late jumping on. When we input data, say, for example, a date, and we do not enter the data in the manner in which the XML demands it, will this program automatically convert it to the correct format?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So that's part of it. Like what looks like is just like a very simple form on the front end. We have lots of data validation running in the background then. So where the field doesn't expect you to be able to even enter a letter or a number, for example, it just quite simply won't let you put in that digit. Where date fields are odd, that's all converted as well. So and likewise with like DORA and things like that for the register of information, just because we've gone through that so many times, whereas this REQ submission is relatively new. On the DORA return, on the front end of the system, you can say your contract is in euro, but we actually automatically translate that in the report to, I think it's something like EBA underscore CU colon EUR is euro in the central bank language. So yeah, any sort of translation, validation, all of that is all done automatically by the system. So you literally just come in and in that example, click the little calendar icon here, choose when the policy was last reviewed or approved or whatever it is it's asking, and the system will do the rest for you basically.
Cool. Next question is, this question may not make sense, but just wondering, are the Calculus and CBI data validations matched up? I.e., is it possible the Calculus will allow us to generate the XML file that may then fail the data upload to CBI?
But really, no, no. The only reason why I actually can't think of a reason why it would fail validation. It might be like obviously if you enter wrong data, someone will pick that up with you eventually as part of like a review process. But we built the data validation rules into Calculus basically. So on the assumption, yeah, it should just all work basically. Yeah, yeah. So the validation rules are all there in the system. So if you take that XML file, don't change anything with it once it gets downloaded. Yeah, you should just be able to drop it into the central bank ONR or reporting system or submission system basically.
Right. Next question is, can you send guidance on how to add a user for this report? That's probably
Yeah,
already on
so
the system anyway. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, when we send out the note to let everyone know when it's there, we'll make sure we include a section on just how to add a user, especially if you want to get someone else chipping away at the report too.
Comment from Juliet. Excellent, and thank you. Another question. If we don't have the regulatory report option on CalculaRisk, how do we go about getting it?
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, you'll have it later today or first thing in the
Yeah.
morning if you're already an existing Calculus user. You don't need to sign up for anything, sign anything, or do anything. It's basically there. It's optional if you choose to use it. Hopefully, it makes your life easier. But yeah, it'll be there later today or first thing in the morning. I said we'll send out a release note from the help desk once it's available for everybody, and we'll probably do another training session, more hands-on training session as well, or a couple of them over the summer as people keep chipping away at it. But yeah, hopefully it is as straightforward as we think it is. Really, like when I say training sessions, it really is just gathering the data and getting it into the system, to be quite honest. Like there's not really much more from a training perspective we can do, but certainly we can show you how to add users and get them access to the system and things like that. But yeah, hopefully it's as straightforward as what we've been giving ourselves virtual pats on the back about. Is that it, Sandy, is it?
I can't see any more questions. Yeah, no, I think that's everything. Um, I can just go back to sharing my screen for a moment.
Excellent.
And then we can, yeah, so it's basically really just to sum up that if any, I suppose, questions occur to you afterwards that we haven't covered in this morning's session, please do reach out. I suppose one question that has just popped in is kind of when will we know when the whole process works? And I suppose I can probably answer that really, as soon as the credit union has the full set of data that applies to them, you can go through that test and upload process. And we'd be very happy to engage with credit unions that's in a position to do that and, confirm that it all works smoothly with you. So please do reach out to us and confirm whether your upload has been successful, if you're experiencing any issues with it. As I say, if it's data content, we probably won't be able to help, unfortunately. But if it's in terms of process or validation, anything like that arises that hadn't been anticipated, then we'd be more than happy to engage. So just from our I suppose completion perspective, it would be nice to get confirmation from yourselves that you're happy with how it's working. So please do reach out to us and confirm or at least let us know if you have any problems. I'll say any further questions, please reach out. I have included on the last slide there Chris's email address and my own email addresses. So if you need to follow up with anything on us, please do reach out to us. I think one of the questions earlier as well was about, how do you kind of sign up? So you can also get more information on CalcRisk at our main website there. And the link is there on that last slide as well. So unless you have anything else to add, Chris?
Not at all, no. Just have a good summer, everybody, and best of luck with getting all that data. And yeah, as Sandy said, do give us a shout if we can help out at all.
Lots of thank yous and comments coming into the Q&A, but no additional questions.
Nice.
So thank you, everyone, saying it looks very impressive and very helpful and much appreciated. So I think there's a lot of relief out there, Chris. So that's good.
Nice.
That's good.
Excellent.
And,
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
thanks, everyone. Take care.